Okay, folks, as you can tell by the spooky boiler room that I'm hanging out in, that we'll be talking about none other than Nightmare on Elm Street toys from the 1980s. So, stick around. Hello, fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to Nostalgia Syndrome. My name is Rob, and we are continuing our Halloween season coverage. In this episode, we will be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street toys that were released in the 1980s. It is a phenomena that Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, was everywhere during the late 80s. I mean, we'll go over a couple of the high spots of his pop culture takeover, but just that there was an actual toy market for a horror film of that caliber, a slasher horror film, is very mind-boggling. It's not like it is nowadays, or even in the 90s, where there was a collector's market for horror movies and horror adjacent toys. No, this is something that was marketed right at kids, and you gotta love it. I mean, even if the kids weren't old enough to actually see the films, they knew who Freddy was and knew that he was a different breed of slasher. A very awesome, charismatic, and funny character. And yeah, I think that everyone was clamoring to get a little bit of Freddy. It sounds like that Mambo song. A little bit of Freddy. Anyway, a little bit of Freddy in their lives. So anyway, let's touch on some of the high points. The first one that is something that I actually enjoyed quite a lot when I was a kid was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince released a song called Nightmare on My Street in 1987. Now, the music video, which I'll show just a snippet of so I don't get hit with copyrights by going over an allotted amount of time, features a disclaimer that says they are in no way part of Nightmare on Elm Street at all. And the video features a character that doesn't look like Freddy at all, but has the glove. So you know exactly what they're talking about. And the song itself mentions Freddy, mentions dreams, mentions Elm Street. I mean, they knew what they were doing. It's just funny that they had to put the disclaimer on there that said that they were no way involved with the movie, Freddy, Wes Craven, what have you. Now, the next thing that pops into my memory banks is the TV show Just the 10 of Us. Now, yes, Heather Langenkamp was one of the daughters on the show, and of course she played Nancy in the first Nightmare on Elm Street and sequels down the line. But that's not the only thing that popped into my memory. The younger brother on that show was a horror movie buff, and he a lot of times had Freddy Krueger t-shirts on. And the couple that I can remember are like these designs. I'm not 100% sure, but for some reason these pop out in my memory. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any pictures from the show of him wearing those t-shirts, but that just goes to show that a series that was spawned from Growing Pains at the time, I mean, was giving a shout out to Freddy, not only because of the actress, but because of the cultural phenomenon that Nightmare on Elm Street was. Now, here's a little factoid that I picked up, and this blew my mind. That little brother was played by Matt Shankman. Yes, that Matt Shankman, who is famous for directing WandaVision and Fantastic Four First Steps. And he's being circled to direct the X-Men movie. I mean, how mind-boggling is that? That the little brother from Just the 10 of Us is now like a Marvel Universe bigwig, and they're handing him the keys to X-Men, potentially. That just, like I said, blew my mind. But anyway, we also have to mention that Marvel Comics actually produced a Nightmare on Elm Street comic. It was a magazine-sized black and white release that came out in 1989. It actually was the top-selling black and white comic that they've ever released. It even outsold all the issues of Conan that came before it, as far as black and white comics go. Unfortunately, they had to stop after the second issue because of parent watch groups that kind of jumped on them about it. And we'll get to those watch groups later on in this episode because, yeah, they're darned and determined to ruin a good time, and we'll talk about how they did so in a bit. But anyway, after Marvel Comics folded on the Nightmare on Elm Street comic, a company called Innovation Publishing picked it up in 1991, and they actually did 3 separate series that tried to tie into continuity of the movies. And they actually produced, like I said, 3 series before the company went bankrupt in 1992. Now, of course, we know Freddy had his own TV show, Freddy's Nightmares. It ran for 2 seasons and spawned 44 episodes. That ran from 1988 to 1989. There was even a Nintendo game that came out in 1990. Show a little bit of footage of that here in the background. And, I mean, we are no stranger to horror icons getting NES games. Friday the 13th was also one that got the game treatment on the Nintendo. And I need to mention that Spitballs, which were an LJN produced toy line of these little balls that you could put water into and squirt people. There was one for Nightmare on Elm Street and one for Friday the 13th. But we won't talk about those in this episode because I talked about them in a previous episode. But there's plenty of other Freddy toys to talk about in this episode. So, without further ado, let's get to those toys with number 1. Our first Nightmare on Elm Street toy came out in 1988, and this is from a company called Lenoxy. And this is the Freddy Stickup. This little Freddy doll, which has movable arms and legs and head, was something that you could stick up with a little suction cup. I mean, he's darn cute for this little doll, if you will. And he came with his little bladed glove, little sweater, little hat, little scarred face. He was probably the Labubu before Labubu were even thought about. I mean, clip this guy onto your belt buckle nowadays and you'll start a new trend that probably be even cooler than those little monster rabbit things. I mean, I kind of dig them, but Freddy, that's a whole nother league. So these things go for a moderately good price on the secondary market. And, I mean, honestly, they're more novelty than toy, but it has posability, so it's kind of like a little miniature action figure. Just a little cute and deformed action figure, but there's nothing wrong with that. Our second Freddy toy on the list comes from LJN in the year 1989, and this is the Freddy Squishum. This little Freddy foam character model, in his kind of famous pose, was meant to be squished and trampled and smushed and whatever other verbs you can think of to smash and destroy. And he pops right back out, just like in your dreams. So no matter what you did to this little squishum, he was ready for more at the end of the day. Now this actually goes for a little bit of a higher price point than some of the other things on this list, and I can only contribute that to the nature of that foam that deteriorates very easily. And we're talking about something from 1989, so just the fact that any of them actually exist on the secondary market is a blessing. Them in the packaging, that's even more awesome. But just the fact that they have survived and they're not little dry rot, little scarred beams with a hat on, is something to celebrate. And if you are a horror fan or a Freddy fan, maybe this price isn't too high for you. Our third toy is another one from LJN in 1989, and this I think is awesome. This is the Freddy figure. Not Freddy got fingered, the Freddy figure. And it was supposed to be something that you can twist and move around, but from reports that I've read online, it wasn't very movable or squishable, and I just gotta say, I think it's really awesome. It's kind of marquee looking. I mean, he's in, again, that trademark pose, and it looks great. I mean, this would be perfect on your shelf. I mean, I think this is awesome, and I would love to have one of these. But alas, this is definitely the most expensive thing on our list today from the secondary market. And again, I contribute that to the fact of probably the material that he was made out of just doesn't hold up very well over the decades. And I mean, like I said, he was meant to be manhandled and squished and moved around, but he was too rigid for that, like I've read and seen in some videos online. But forget all that. It is just, like I said, like a marquette, or however you pronounce it. It's just a really nice little statuesque figure that would go perfectly on your shelf. And yeah, if I had over $300 to drop, I would think about getting one. Our fourth Nightmare on Elm Street toy actually was released at the time of the first movie in 1984. This is Freddy's glove, released by Marty Toys. Now, again, this is kind of a more novelty than a toy, but it kind of falls into the whole role-playing toy category. I mean, slip on that glove and you are Freddy. Run around the neighborhood, slashing kids, attack them in their dreams, what have you. I mean, I can remember things like this actually being in the toy section all year round, not just Halloween. Nowadays we see stuff like this pop up at Spirit of Halloween like it ain't no thing, but back in the day, it was super awesome to see something like this on the toy shelves. And it seems like it's very prevalent out there on the secondary market. It's got a kind of fair price. I mean, for an all-original 1984 glove, it's a pretty decent price. But again, like I said, this is something you could pick up at Spirit of Halloween today, probably for a lot cheaper and probably better made than what was released all those decades ago. But just the whole thing of having something from '84, from the original movie, that's something special. Our fifth Freddy toy is definitely the most infamous. This is the toy that had so many religious and parents groups foaming at the mouth to have it stricken from shelves, and the release and torpedoing of this toy kind of hurt future releases that we'll talk about at the end of this list. But this is the Talking Freddy doll, released by Matchbox in 1989. Now, Matchbox was, of course, they're famous for their die-cast cars, but they dabbled in the action figure market here and there. They tried a big swing with the Talking Freddy doll. This is a beautiful doll. Let's talk about that first. I mean, it's very well made. The sweater he has on actually looks really comfy. I mean, it looks like an honest to goodness real sweater, and yeah, I mean, it just looks comfy. I'm sorry, I can't find any better way to describe just how the sweater looks. Has his little hat. And, I mean, he would say things of, "See you in your nightmares," and things like that. I mean, nothing too, like, gory or crazy or bad. I mean, it was just normal, generic, "I want to be your friend, welcome to the neighborhood, I'll see you in your dreams," things like that. So, the fact that they jumped on this toy just simply because of the movie and its reputation as being a slasher film, I mean, they kinda, as usual, were barking up the wrong tree. I mean, these religious and parents groups ruined so many awesome things in our childhood, and they still try to do that today. So, I mean, it's a real bummer, but this actually directly influenced the torpedoing of another toy line that was coming out that would have been just a stroke of genius. Like I said, we'll get to that in a moment. But this is the second most expensive toy on the resale market. Understandably so, because it's got this aura, this stigma around it, that it was this banned toy. And, I mean, it's a very nice looking toy. I mean, Eddie Munster had that werewolf doll. You in the 80s could have had this Freddy doll and been just as awesome as Eddie Munster. But anyway, let's get to our sixth entry. Our sixth toy, again, comes from LJN in 1989. I mentioned that LJN did the Spitballs, and this takes that squirt gun game to the next level. This is the Freddy Fright Squirter. And, I mean, this is, again, a nice item if you want to display this. It's an awesome looking Freddy. And, again, it was a squirt gun that you would stick your hand in the back of Freddy's head, suck up the water, and then squeeze the insides, and he would spit the water out. Kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to the whole canon of Freddy, but very cool. And like I said, you set this on your shelf somewhere, it just looks like a bust of Freddy, and it's super awesome. It's very well modeled, very well made, and again, this goes for a pretty penny because I assume, again, deterioration issues because it's probably like a cheaper rubber alternative or rubber itself that just dry rots over the years, especially if you're using it in water. There's definitely some on the market that are still in package and they look awesome for a high price point, but awesome. Anyway, yeah, let's get to our seventh and final entry. For our seventh and final Nightmare on Elm Street toy, this was a toy line that had so much love, inspiration, and creativity behind it. And for all the controversy that the Talking Freddy found itself in, Matchbox, who was going to produce this toy line, just stopped all Nightmare on Elm Street and horror-related toys after that. This was also supposed to come out in 1989, and yeah, the Talking Freddy debacle directly torpedoed one of the most, I think, awesome and creative toy lines. And this is Max FX. Max FX were little dolls of dudes, maybe ladies if they actually continued on with the toy line, that were to represent those unsung heroes of Hollywood, the people inside the costume. So you got a little dude and all the outfit and accoutrement for various characters. They actually did release the Freddy one, and after that they did not go anywhere. But they had so many awesome plans and actual marketing for further releases. As you can see in some of these pictures, I mean, they had everything from werewolves to the xenomorph. I mean, how awesome would that have been to get an alien action figure like that? We could have had a whole slew of different horror characters and bigger action figure form. I mean, just really, it makes me sad that this toy line didn't go anywhere. I mean, just imagine in an alternative universe where no one gave a crap about Talking Freddy. They released these and were able to keep producing awesome horror characters. I mean, the sky's the limit. Like I said, they were going to do a xenomorph. Imagine if they did a predator. I mean, it could have worked its way all the way to today. And I mean, just the fact of where this awesome toy line could have went is just mind-boggling. But anyway, this goes for kind of a reasonable price for something that probably didn't get that wide of a release. I mean, $150 in package ain't that bad. And I mean, this Freddy looks awesome. It's an awesome Freddy action figure on top of being an awesome, innovative idea for a toy line. What could have happened? I mean, who knows? But anyway, let's wrap this up. Okay, folks, that was a look at 7 Nightmare on Elm Street toys that were released throughout the 1980s. And, yeah, they had a good run before the controversy hit Matchbox with the Talking Freddy. I mean, yeah, I could go on and on and on about Max FX and what could have been. But what we did get were some pretty solid toys. And looking at now, the toys that are released, very gruesome, gory, what have you, for the collector's market, it's funny to think about what controversy these toys fell under. I mean, if those people then saw what toys are released now, they'd flip their wig. Anyway, like I said, we're still continuing our coverage of the Halloween season, and I thought, what better way to celebrate Halloween by taking a look at one of the most famous pop culture icon slashers of all time, Freddy Krueger. Now, it's amazing that, I mean, we had Friday the 13th all throughout the 80s, and we only got very limited toys and video game of Jason. Never got any Texas Chainsaw Massacre, never got any Michael Myers, even though those movies released in the 80s as well. So, Freddy was just something special. Like I said, he was very charismatic, funny, and just something about him was different enough that it captivated people's imaginations. And yeah, kids, yeah, they probably saw the movies back then. Parents were different back then. So they probably saw the movies and wanted some form of toy or memorabilia to mark that little bit of trailblazing into adulthood by watching a horror movie. Anyway, I'm rambling. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everyone. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this, or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you will be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad, and stay dorky.